Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast, Conversations with Silicon Valley's Creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates.
Woo! There it is. Okay, good. All right, welcome to the Content Magazine podcast. I'm here today with Jonathan Gomez, who is the head of the co-founder of Asiel Design.
My wife's the head.
Right. Yeah, you're the support. Yeah. So first, tell us exactly what you do with Asiel Design. What's the mission statement and focus of that?
Our mission statement is that we curate event experiences for clients that want to walk into another world. We've been producing events for about 20 years.
Wow.
We started off as a floral design company, got into event design, and now we do event production.
Yeah, and you do like stuff that's completely different. Like I know at San Pedro Square Market, you did.
We did a Wizard of Oz.
And you've done Space Odyssey.
We've done Space Odyssey, Casino Royale, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Just about any thematic event experience you can imagine, we've done them all, a lot of them. We also do weddings, and we also do private parties that are just curated and no theme really attached to it. But a lot of our corporate clients that want the experience for their staff or their employees, they will call us for that.
Yeah, that's cool. So, okay, but in that too, I mean, we've known each other for quite a while now. Yes. Yeah, we meet for coffees regularly. Well, it used to be real regular, then now it's irregular.
Yes.
But we'll start getting regular again. But you're really super connected in the arts community too. How did that come about? Like, how did you really kind of like get dialed in with all these creatives?
Yeah, Heart for Artists wanted to, I just really like artists, but about 8 years ago, we created a show called Sacred Art that really brought the artists together. And that's a immersive event experience that brought in model installations, art installations, musical performances. We did it at our warehouse. Yeah. And it really allowed us to really connect the art community and immerse them in with our event community. Yeah. So it's kind of a mashup, but I really got to know the art community in San Jose through doing that event.
Yeah, and some of the artists that actually were at I'm sure the name of it was Sacred Art. So at Sacred Art, where actually some of those artists actually help you put together some of the corporate events too. I think like Lacey Bryan, doesn't she help sculpt?
Yeah, Lacey worked with us in the past. I work with Patrick Hoffmeister. He's at our warehouse right now, painting a sign on our building. Yeah. We've worked with models, like we were talking about the model on the wall over there. I know her through the event community, but also she's been involved in the art community. So there's a lot of crossover. But artists, we tend to bond as we create together. Yeah. And that's what really got us connected, is creating these events.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Now, for you yourself, though, I mean, I know that you like journal and you write. Do you draw or sketch too?
Yeah, I'm a painter as well.
Okay,
I don't sell. That's kind of a private thing. Yeah. I was just talking to my friend Patrick about it yesterday. Once you start to sell or put it out there, you kind of have a different mindset. It's like, how much does this cost to make? Right. What should I charge for it? So I kept my oil paintings private. But most of the artistry that I create is within the event space or within our the event space that we're creating right now, and the events that we create for our clients.
Yeah, that's cool. And your warehouse is crazy. I remember the first time I went in there, just like the number of like really like locks. There was like old locks and door frames and like candle holders. And I think your style, how would you describe it? I mean, The space, I would say, is almost goth. Is that, or what? How would you? You know what I mean? Like a little bit that you're kind of drawn to. You and Linnae, what's kind of like you're kind of drawn towards?
Yeah, personally, I collect relics. Okay. I've been into, a lot of people associate us with kind of a gothic decor. Yeah. But when we have taken the warehouse, we got back to the roots because it's a 1920s building, and we got very gastropub with it, very industrial with it. Something to know is I used to be an antique dealer.
Oh,
so before we were, all those statues, all those found objects. Yeah. Linnae and I started the floral design company together. It was Asiel Flower. It was Asiel Flower Design, and somebody came up to me and said, "Isn't that incorrect grammar? Shouldn't it be floral?" And I was mad, but he was right. So we changed it to Asiel Floral Design. And then when we started doing event design, we just went to Asiel Design.
Yeah.
But we started the floral design company together. But alongside that, I also started a statuary antique company alongside with the floral design company.
Yeah.
So the warehouse was chock full of statues, found objects, wrought iron, because that's what I loved.
Yeah.
That's what I love still. But then I realized I'm a monkey selling bananas. I would want to buy it and collect it, but not sell it.
Yeah.
So
totally.
then I realized we can rent these items in our inventory, still curate it, but keep it.
Yeah.
And so that's how our design became very residential.
Yeah.
So even though we're doing flowers, it still has a very interior design look to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then it's evolved. You know, it's every creative company, I think, needs to change with the seasons. And then we became a production company, and now we're moving into event space.
Right.
And but early on, everybody would say, like, you're so gothic. And I'd be like, I don't feel so gothic.
Yeah, so you said relics. Yeah, so kind of like, I guess, well, I mean, there's antiques and then there's relics. So what draws you kind of to more, and how would you describe the relic?
Yeah, there's just a spirituality to it for me. I love old churches. I love relics would be any type of antiquity that is connected with, I guess you would say, the church.
Yeah, okay.
But it could be any type of antiquity that has a significance spiritually.
Yeah, okay.
So I love old Bibles.
Yeah.
I love old crosses.
Yeah.
I have parts of churches.
Yeah.
That I want to preserve, because a lot of times people don't know what to do with them, and then they call me and I get them. And it's just something I can't explain it, except that, like journaling, it's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
It's just one of those keys that I'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel God when I am bringing this piece that was not being used and reusing it in a different setting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's great. I think that, a lot of times, I mean, you look at the old churches and stuff like that. I mean, it was a message that they were sending, the reason why they were so big. And, like the church steeple was supposed to be the highest thing in town because God is above all and stuff like that. So there is a lot of connection and symbolism in art and those kind of relics.
The architecture and the art would tell a story.
Yeah.
So back before everybody can read and the Bible is written in Latin, they would paint murals to tell stories.
Yeah.
They would
stained glass windows.
Stained glass windows to tell stories. Yeah. Tall cathedrals to say God is so big and you're so small, but the awe and the glory of God.
Yeah.
When the Protestant church broke away from the Catholic Church, a lot of the art also broke away with the Protestant church, and I'm really involved in bringing that art factor back in, or is what my heart is.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's sad that there was this kind of like schism, right, between seeing art as a form of worship and your spiritual life, rather than just being, I don't even know, how do you separate the two? How do you separate the person from the art? How do you separate your mind, body, soul from your expression? Yeah.
I think the thought was that there was some misuse.
Yeah, that's true,
with the icons. So people were praying to the icon or praying and venerating these items. Right. That was considered to be a misuse. And I think that's always something to keep in mind. But when you have a piece of art, whether it's a painting or a sculpture or even an old Bible that was done so artistically, and it makes you think about the awe of God or unlocks a door for you, if it's a tool to help you connect with God, I think it's good. Yeah. If it becomes God, I think that's where you need to take a step back and say, okay, this is no longer a tool. I guess some people will say now it's an idol.
Right, idol.
And so that's the concern I think that the Christians have is it an idol? But I think that there's a way to, I think God is creative. I think God is the initiator of inspiration, like in spirit, inspiration, imagination, image of God. And I'm wanting to bring this experience back to look at God from different facets. And I think that there's a physical part, like you're saying, there's a spiritual dimension, and there's also a soul dimension to that. Yeah. And I believe that true connection with God is all three parts of your body connecting to God.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's I mean, when you did Sacred Art, that was kind of like the focus of those events, right? Was to bring kind of like art and spirituality together.
It was. And the first one, I was just thinking about this the other day. The first one in some ways was the most special one.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, it's like that, you remember that, like that rock band that played in those shows and they didn't know what they were doing, but everything was unrehearsed,
just raw
and you almost could not reproduce it. Totally. That's what the first Sacred Art was. The first Sacred Art was my art show.
Yeah.
It wasn't all this curated group like what it became that drew the community together. It was just like, I felt like I was creating this art. I had something inside of me that I had to share it with the world.
Yeah.
And it was honestly so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't inviting like my church friends. I was inviting like my industry. I was inviting artists and sacred, like the spirituality component within the artistry world. It could be so dicey. It could be so like temperamental. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Is it ultra religious? And I'm going to offend people that way. And then with the event world, it's like, we don't go there as well.
Right. Because it's the corporate.
It's corporate. You play by the rules. You play clean. But I had a friend that said, I was talking to a friend of mine about it. He said, you know what, John? You're an artist that's putting your art out there. You're wearing your heart on your sleeve. Totally. If somebody judges that, then that's their problem. Yeah. He said it more like
eloquently.
But I realized, I'm just trying to create an experience that is from my heart and bring it into the world.
Totally.
And you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to not agree with it. I mean, you can not agree with it or agree with it, but let's talk about this together. Yeah. Let's experience this together.
Well, that's what art is, right? I mean, it's the individual expressing their worldview. Yeah. And you see that all the time, in art. So be it, whatever like faith or philosophy that someone follows, people are always putting out their own kind of like beliefs in that. So cool.
I believe that's what art is. Art, in my opinion, should have a strong point of view of what you believe or what you're trying to convey. Yeah. It should make you think. Yeah. It should change or shift your position or your point of view one way or another. Even if you end up where you were, it should at least make you think and ponder the world through a different lens. Yeah. That's how art hits.
Well, that's that's best art, right? It's provocative in some ways. Even if it's just simple of like, makes you recognize simple beauty in the world. Yes. Or it makes you rethink your presuppositions, right? Yes. You have that whole spectrum of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't try to provoke people for the sake of provoking people.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just trying. Yeah, I'm not. It's a little deeper than that for me. I'm trying to bring what's in my mind, in my heart, into the world to express something. Yeah. And we want to create beauty. Sometimes the beauty isn't always light. Sometimes it's like dark that goes into light. Yeah. But it's starting a conversation, and I believe by sharing that in a community type of experience can benefit the community and can make us grow. It's like traveling. Yeah. You travel, you learn something about this different culture, and you see it from a different point of view. Yeah. So that's cool.
Now, okay, so COVID hit. Yeah. And that kind of changed events for a while.
Yeah, we got shut down. It became illegal for us to do events.
Yeah. But in that time, though, I mean, you always had with the warehouse, you always had this vision of making that space be more than just
a warehouse,
rows and rows of candlesticks. And stuff.
I realized with the development around us, if we don't start serving the community, we're in it, whatever season that is, we're going to outdate ourselves. Yeah. So if we're a warehouse storing just stuff and not serving the community, we're not going to be there forever.
Sure.
But if we can transition into a place that brings ours together, creates a space for connection, creates a space that we're able to create beauty, I believe that we could be a service to the city and to the community. So we started working on the renovation of the warehouse, of the outdoor event space, been talking about it, dreaming about it for like 10 years. Yeah. But when COVID hit and we didn't have 50 events going out the door, we're actually able to focus on it.
Yeah. So now you're taking the space and you're opening it up for people to come in, use it for event. And then actually you have some starting in April 28th.
April 28th is our first immersive event,
and you're going to be doing them, and that's a Friday, right? So you're going to be doing them every Friday.
8 consecutive Fridays, starting April 28th, going through June 16th. We're doing Fridays at the warehouse, street vendors. We're curating artists and vendors on the street.
Yeah.
Movable Feast has partnered with us to do food trucks. We're activating our beer garden for the first time. Nobody's seen it.
That's behind
the warehouse.
Yeah,
and this is all being powered by the Abierto grant because they're wanting to see more outdoor spaces. And our area, Midtown, needs it. Yeah. It's the second most populated area in San Jose outside of Japantown.
Oh, really?
And that's as per Ryan from Movable. And I was like, he
knows
all
his
the
stuff.
Stats.
Yeah. He's done his research.
And I'm like, cool, that's a cool line to drop on everybody.
Yeah, and then the warehouse, what's the name of the warehouse? You've named it James.
Renamed it. The James Grain Warehouse.
The James Grain. And was that the original?
Yeah, Stanley James had the warehouse built in the 20s. I've reconnected with the family, got some artifacts, not relics, artifacts from the family, old pictures, and we're working on bringing it more and more to the way it was.
Oh, wow.
So right now I have Patrick over there. He's painting on the old James Grain sign, but he's making it look distressed. And the style is industrial, gastropub, rustic, and it creates a base for us too.
Is it kind of turn of the century? Is that about when that was built, or?
Yeah, 1920s. So 1920s, somewhere between 1921 and 1926. Okay. So we just said 1921 and celebrated the 100-year anniversary of this building like 2 years ago.
Yeah. That's cool. So then, so what's going to be kind of different about this kind of? I mean, it's is it a maker's market, or is it a SJ Makers Fair? What would you say what's the uniqueness that you're doing?
The uniqueness is that it's a party. It's not like Sacred Art was a great event in the sense that it was high art. It was like Cirque du Soleil and really like pointed.
Yeah, you even had like I don't know what you call it, the woman on the trapeze or the
we've had aerialists, we've had
all that
musicians.
Kind of stuff.
We've run the gamut with it, and I don't think Sacred Art is done.
Yeah.
But for this season, we're trying to rebuild the art community. Yeah. COVID has messed up, has disrupted a lot of things for a lot of people, and San Jose is in this rebuild mode.
Totally.
So we have this opportunity to create space for artists to reconnect, space to make beauty, space to create culture.
Yeah.
And so by doing this, we just want the space to feel like joy.
Yeah.
We want to feel relaxing. We want to bring hope back onto our street. And there's not really this big agenda except to connect the people, and to build something.
Yeah.
And it feels like the ground floor.
Yeah.
It really feels like the
ground floor, meaning that you're going to kind of do this and you're going to see what it becomes.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. By curating, I'm the one that's actually curating the booths and the artists.
Yeah.
And I believe that the artists are the soul of this event.
Yeah.
In the past, it was also art, but it's a different format. It's not like a gallery space. It's bringing the artist in and having them. What we really want is we want a win-win. We want to create space that the artists can make money, meet people, network. And we did this with Sacred Art. We introduced the artist with the event people, and then I invited my clients.
Yeah, totally.
So that created ecosystem for a person to create art, to meet people that can help them get their art in context, the event people, and then the end user of the client.
Yeah. So the client could actually meet an artist and decide we want to use them for an event or even to decorate their walls.
What was happening a lot, is the client would come to us and say, we loved what you did at the Sacred Art. Can you create again?
Yeah.
And then I would go back and hire that model or hire that artist to create that structure.
Right.
And they liked the experience so much that we were able to recreate the experience with a different theme.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Space Odyssey or a Wizard of Oz or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Utilizing the same people I worked with Sacred Art.
Yeah, that's cool. So then and you're calling it
Midtown Immersive.
Midtown Immersive.
Yeah.
And so the Midtown Immersive is kind of meant to be kind of like a community connection and kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Incubator or impetus for other career development and stuff like that? Artists?
Yeah. We have long-term plans for the block. We like to see more long-term like booths, but we're not quite there yet. We're creating, this is like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But what I think a lot of people realize in COVID is that 9-to-5 job that's really 9 to 9 that is draining the energy and the creativity may not be the most sustainable way to live life as artists.
Yeah.
And we're trying to create spaces that, whether it's through booths or whether it's through longer term spaces that people can create art, have a sustainable life.
Totally.
People who come there can go and buy something that's not from, let's say, IKEA, and have something unique on their walls.
Not so cookie cutter.
Not so cookie cutter, but unique and something that says something and talks to their soul. And so that could be an antique dealer that's dealing in oddities, or it can be a person who makes honey. Or hand makes soap and you just really love the way that soap smells. It's more of a maker's mark type of feel that we're trying to create space for.
That's cool. And it's James grain like wheat and barley and stuff, like, because it was a grain storage place then?
It was a grain mill. So the grain mill that was used for the pet feed is still there. So Stanley James created the James Grain Company.
Okay.
And we have old pictures of the building just chock full of bags of grain. The warehouse the railroad used to go behind the warehouse.
That's right.
With like one of those little splints. I forgot what they call it. Splints or splits. It would go off. And there's 3 doors behind the warehouse. 1, 2, and 3. And grain used to go in and come out.
So they'd put the train would go right up to the dock and in out. And this is right there, black and brown. What's the streets? McAvoy. And black and brown's on the corner there. San Carlos. And
So black and brown's on the corner. We're the large warehouse behind them. Been there for a while.
And you're going to close down the street on that.
A portion of the street.
Okay.
So we're closing down a portion of the street, and we are creating experience out there. That's where the makers are going to be. The food trucks are going to be. We're going to have tables out there. We're going to have DJ out there. We're going to have and then the beer garden in the back. So it's going to be kind of like a outdoor.
It'll be fun,
just
kind of
relaxing,
like a hangout,
reconnect, good vibes type of thing.
It kind of reminds me like when you go to those other cities, you know, like Portland and Seattle, and they have like these kind of like just kind of these hangout, almost like you see like San Pedro Square Market or something like that. But you know, a little bit more art involved in a kind of hangout. So I know you've been talking about this. I mean, even when we would meet with Heinz over at Forager back in the day, you would talk about. So how do you feel? I mean, now April 28th is going to happen. How are you? What's your emotions, your feelings, and all that kind of stuff?
We're in push mode. I mean, the inside of the warehouse looks great. The lighting is more dialed in. The sound system's getting dialed in. The inside's great. We are on a push for the back. So, I mean, we're erecting statues, gigantic planters. We're planting right now. We're doing the lighting back there. We'll get it done because we're event people.
You got a deadline.
But I'll walk around the warehouse and see everything and be like, we got to push. And I'm bringing more and more people in to get it done. So it will happen. And we're going to learn a lot, I'm sure. But it's coming up quick. We're in marketing mode. We're in connect mode. I'm connecting with all the neighbors, letting them know what's happening. See if they want to be a part of it. Because I believe that this event is also going to be really connected to the community. And the businesses that are in the community, their involvement as well.
I remember even before COVID, I mean, you took me out there and you told me about it and you showed me the space. And I think that you were doing these weldings with, like they were I don't know if they were like walls that you were making with there was like metal and then like wood slats and all this kind of stuff. I mean, and this is like, 2019-ish or something like that. So
we had 20 walls made that they're really cool. They're 10 foot tall by 4 feet wide, and we use them for events. So they actually, if I need a wall at a party, I need this big backdrop. They're mobile. They're modular. They're mobile. And we use it to create this big backdrop in the warehouse. And we have these oversized cabanas that we also made, and it works in the warehouse and it works offsite as well.
I'm excited I hope everybody who's listening goes, out there, because your space is so unique, your style and what you and Linnae bring. It's like totally different than anything else. You know what I mean? It's very unique. And
it's that culture that San Jose needs. The building's a gem. I mean, totally. We end up with the building it's big.
Yeah.
It's got big skylights. We've redone the chandeliers that we made out of old pulleys and oversized Marconi lights or Edison lights. But the building's a gem.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go to Portland, you see this old like place that was like a foundry and then made into a restaurant. Totally. That's what the space exudes.
Yeah.
And
that's good. And San Jose, like you said, needs that because the most of those kind of buildings in San Jose, they've been knocked down and stuff like that. You know,
they have been. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like we're like the little house and Up, where it's like the little house that everybody keeps building around it. It feels like that, but it's we're still there, and it's the culture. It's like I was talking to Anne from our art part. She's like, you can't. It's either there or it's not there. You can add to the culture, but a building like that, you go with it.
Yeah.
You preserve it. You build around it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So for you, I mean, like you're a very creative person, visionary even too, but you actually seem like you have a good sense of like navigating business even too, like, you know, or is it, who in the team between you and Linnae, who's like the creative and who's the business? I mean, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a great question. Linnae and I are both creative.
Yeah.
We do have different styles.
Yeah.
We're both creative. I made the joke that Linnae's the head, but I'm more the vision guy. Yeah. I'm more the brain guy. I'm more of like, let's go there.
Sure.
Linnae's more the heart.
Yeah.
She's the one that keeps everybody together. She's the heartbeat of the company. She's the heartbeat of the vision, of the mission.
Yeah.
She's like that motherly.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a little bit more of that fatherly, like this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while I'll turn around to see if there's anybody behind me. And there's Linnae, be like, let's go.
Helping it happen.
Let's go. Let's get it together, guys.
Yeah. So it's good complementary.
It is. It is. And we've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we've gone through even flows of what works, what doesn't work. You know, when we did the statuary company and she was doing the flower company, it was because we didn't know how to work together yet. So I was like, you do that, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then we realized down the road that we're better together.
Yeah.
And there was times where you stay in your lane, I stay in my lane, but now we're more united together.
Yeah.
And we still respect, like I super respect what Linnae does and what she brings to the table.
Yeah.
And understand I'm not good at those things.
Right.
And she understands that I can see down the road and see where we need to go, maybe even how to get there.
Yeah.
But she's also a visionary. I don't want to downplay that because she's the one that actually had the dream for all the makers on the street, and for it to be a reciprocal. If I say that reciprocal, a concept that it's a win-win. Yeah. And if it's not a win-win for both parties, nobody wins.
Yeah.
If we just win, it's not a win.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah.
She's the one that had the heart for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you know, it's kind of funny because, I mean, definitely I see you way more than Linnae. And even when I've seen you kind of like walk through a space, you seem like you're really good of like, oh, we can do this here, we got this here.
Yeah.
But then it seems like she somehow is making it all come to life. You know, that's good.
Yeah. Within the company, I'm the one that really oversees, like we talk about those wood walls. Yeah. Or like the guys, I have a team of guys. Let's make the cabana. Let's make the walls. Let's create the wrought iron structure. That's all me. Yeah. Linnae pulls it all together. Yeah. She'll interface with a lot of clients to pull it all together. She'll circle back with me and say, hey, what about this, this, and that? I oversee the lighting. So they say, this isn't going to work for the lighting, but that will work. Yeah. And so there's this back and forth. Yeah. I'm usually like the network guy. I'm the guy that meets them, pulls them in. Linnae's the one that talks with them, walks them through the project. And then I'll show back up at the party. Like, where's John been? And then John's at the bar. It's like, hey. It's like, so she does all like the business, the finance, the negotiation. Yeah. And then I'm the handshake at the beginning. And then at the end, I'm like, hey guys, the party's here.
The party guy. Yeah. That's cool. So then, and now in the midst of this though, you have a newborn, eight months.
About 9 months now.
Zion is 9.
Zion, 9 months.
Yeah.
Phoenix, 8 years. And Maverick, it just turned 6 in March.
Yeah. So that's a lot on your table.
Yeah. We partially homeschool.
Yeah.
So the kids go to school 2 days a week and they're with us 3 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah. and launching this venue space 8 consecutive weeks. I mean, that's a big draw. What do you do then for you, especially if you're a visionary? What do you do to help you kind of stay grounded and to nurture your vision and even your family life?
Yeah, and that has changed throughout the years. So I will say, before Zion, I was taking a day off by myself and getting to the beach and journaling, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. This season in life, I meditate a lot. I pray. I do read the Bible, but meditation has been big for me, because when I was journaling, it was like I was talking to God, all these ideas and all these visions and all these things, and I filled up journal after journal after journal. It was really great because I got it out. Yeah. Now that I'm meditating, I feel like I'm listening to God now.
Yeah, cool.
And it calms me down, but it connects me to a higher power, higher source, and then that's when the creativity is actually just exploding from there.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where a lot of, in the middle of COVID, 10% estimated of our industry went under.
Wow. Yeah.
And so everybody's like, contract, make it smaller.
Yeah.
And we were in this place where we were expanding.
Yeah.
Putting money in the building. We want more space.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't a John and Linnae thing. They always say, if you can buy on a downturn of the economy, do it.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the strategy. The strategy was that we were praying and we felt like it's time to expand. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time. It's like in Days of Thunder, where you're driving a car, there's an accident in front of you, there's smoke. Let's say that's COVID. The tendency is to let your foot off the gas. But the problem with that is, if you do that, it's an inevitable accident, because all the cars behind you hit you.
Yeah.
So we had to press on the gas and get through the smoke.
Yeah.
And the saying is, when you're going through crap, it's usually you just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we just punched it, went through, and ended out on the other side better.
Yeah. And I know that, I mean, I know because we've, meet for coffee and stuff like that even during that time, there was a lot of family stuff going on at the same time as you were kind of building up for this vision and stuff like that.
Yeah, my mother-in-law, who got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, she also came to live with us.
Yeah.
And we saw her through her last 8 months of life, which was a beautiful thing. But between COVID and watching a person die, that's what really was like, it brings life into perspective.
Yeah.
So I got the kids over here. They're not in school. Everybody's home with COVID.
Yeah.
So now we're homeschooling.
Yeah.
So I see this generation growing up,
right,
and wanting to be involved in that and influence them and do that. And then we have Linnae's mom, who is dying.
Yeah.
But as she's dying, she's also becoming more alive emotionally, spiritually. She's a very devout Christian woman, but she just also became more alive than I've ever seen her.
Like, in what way? What do you mean, like, more alive?
We would have conversations about what was happening. So when she was passing, she had a coach, like a lifestyle detox, get healthy, because she decided not to do chemo.
Oh, okay.
And he asked her, he said, is this cancer an emotional cancer or is it a physical cancer? Immediately she said it's an emotional cancer.
Wow.
So, and this was all new space for me. I knew that there is a space in your mind you can renew your mind.
Right.
I know that we live in our emotions from our heart. I knew that there's a spirit connection and a soul connection, but I had no idea how connected the spirit and the soul is to the body.
Yeah.
So when she had all this emotional pain that we started to talk about, I actually believe that is the soul wounds, the pain that contributed to her cancer.
Yeah. Okay. But so then I guess at that point it's gone too far that you can't reverse it, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, we were praying for a miracle. We were trying to do holistic things and all these medicine, these supplements, because she decided to not do chemo. And at the time, that was hard for me, because it was like, why don't we do chemo and pray and supplements and the emotional thing, and hit like the body, the soul, the spirit? Why don't we do it all? And she felt like it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
And that was, for me at the time, it was a hard pill to swallow, but it was her body.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it for about 2 days. I didn't want to bring it up with her, that type of thing. And then I realized, this is her. This is what she wants to do. We're going to go through this together.
Yeah.
And we did. And, but that's what I mean. She became more alive because we would have these conversations that connected her and I together more than we had ever been. Yeah. And it got me back in school. She went to Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. So she was talking to me about that. And 3 weeks after she passed, the school decided to go online because of COVID. And I said, this is a chance for me to get into school. So that was also a catalyst for, serve the community, do what I want to do.
So you have your regular events clients that you're building and doing. Mm-hmm. You have 3 children. Mm-hmm. You're starting this immersive and you're going to school?
Yeah. And I'm married.
You're still married. Yeah, you're still married.
And a ton of time is going into getting the space ready. But it's like one of those things where I learned how can I say this? When you go to work, there's a trade for time to money. Yeah. An employer's gonna say, I'm gonna pay you X amount of dollars and you give me X amount of time. When you're an entrepreneur, you're able to be on top of the business and create a system that isn't time for money.
Right.
We create a value, like even though we're not the cheap, we're expensive on the design front, we offer such a value to the clients that other people don't. So when they hire us, it's not like they have to get a floral designer, a lighting designer, a furniture person, or even an event space. Yeah. They hire us to do the whole thing. Yeah. And so there's tremendous value in that because you don't have to go to all these people and we run the whole thing and they already like the experience that we can create. So we're a value. We're not cheap, but we're a value. And there's systems that you can create. There's systems that you create. I call them heavenly blueprints where you can create a service or a resource that isn't in this worldly system. That's the time for the money. Okay. So I can hire people to do some things that take my time. I can take a step back, keep multiple people going, but still have time for the family. Yeah. Or back when Esther was, my mother-in-law was with us, time for her. Yeah. And look at it from a bird's eye view. Because sometimes if you're so in the business, you can't see the peripheral. Totally. You're so in it, you can't see around it. Yeah. When you're able to take a step back, you can see down the road enough of saying, this is where we're going. Yeah. Is it in line with what I want to do and what my values are? So I'm not in this time for money thing. Yeah. I'm in it for, as an entrepreneur saying, I have the right team. Let's do this. And I am hiring people that want to do it.
So you have the vision and then the delegation of that, and then you're managing.
I check back with them because I'm particular. I'm very particular. I don't want just whatever. But people learn to think like the way I think, and they understand what I'm looking for.
Style and everything.
They adapt it. Like we won't hire somebody that's like super creative and does their own thing. We've done that. Yeah. Clients hire us because they like what John and Linnae do. Yeah. So I tell people all the time, before you do your way, learn my way, and then we could create a way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And that's the vision. That's cool. We're on this journey together, creating this thing together, going in one direction.
Yeah, cool. All right, last thing before we close in. You said that you've been listening more. What do you feel you're hearing? What do you think? What are you hearing these days?
It's a lot of that maker's part. It's a lot of, as a Christian, we need to serve the community. There's a lot of people out there that are fighting ideologies and I'm right about this and you're right. It's not about that. Yeah. It's about serving, creating value, a heavenly blueprint that we're able to, when I create an event, I'm serving a person. Right. I'm serving them, whether it's with a drink or the event experience. We need to get low and serve. Even if I'm getting paid to do it, a lot of money to do it. The public events are not a lot of money. The private events are. I'm doing it with a servant's heart to make a way and make a space for people to feel loved. Yeah. That's the basis. Yeah. From there, bringing in the art, bringing in all that kind of stuff, it all builds off of that. Yeah. But if you don't have the right heart posture, it doesn't stack right. Yeah. It doesn't stack well. So get low. Yeah. Love. Cool. Care for people. Don't have to be right about everything. It's more about being a light and about having a person knowing that the person knows that you care.
Yeah.
That's where I begin.
Yeah. It's the basics, right? Love God and love the neighbors yourself. Yes. All, yeah, that's what it's, yeah, yes. Cool. All right. Plug the immersive, the Midtown Immersive. Tell us exactly the details and all the kind of stuff to end us out. When is it? Where is it? What is it?
Midtown Immersive is a series of 8 consecutive Fridays, 5 to 9 o'clock at the warehouse, the James Grain warehouse in the street in the garden behind, which is on McAvoy, 245 McAvoy Street, San Jose. We're between San Carlos and Sunol in the Midtown area behind Black and Brown. But there's going to be artists and vendors there. There's going to be food trucks there. We're having DJ, beer garden in the back, other drinks. But basically, it's a place to connect, a place to reconnect, a place to create, a place to bring beauty into San Jose, into the culture of San Jose.
Cool. And then how do people find it on the digital realm? What's the website and
Instagrams? Yeah. So James Grain, we just put the page up. Most of the information is on the James Grain Warehouse.
JamesGrainWarehouse.com, is that?
You can find it on JamesGrainWarehouse.com, and it'll say Midtown Immersive.
Okay.
We're on Eventbrite now.
Okay.
There's a James Grain Instagram and Facebook that just got launched. Okay. So go there, like it, because we need more likes, because we just started that. Yeah. But it's on the JamesGrainWarehouse.com. There's a page about it, more information. Eventbrite or Instagram.
Instagram is just James Grain Warehouse. Is that the...
I would need to check with my people.
Okay.
But if you search for James Grain Warehouse, it'll be there. Also, we're promoting through Asiel Design.
Asiel Design.
And Asiel's established, and you can find Asiel Design really easily.
Okay, and we'll have all those kind of show notes in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome, John.
Pleasure.
It's been great hanging out.
Absolutely.
Talk to you there.
Thank you.
That's it. Let me do another.
Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Become a member and help us to continue to tell the stories of the South Bay creatives. This episode's music is 408 by Jack Pavlina. Follow him on Spotify and also on his Instagram at Jack Pavlina Music.